In this lesson, I will move the graph we built in Lesson 4 to a CloverDX server and run it, monitor progress, and review log files there. I will use the scheduler to automate the graph execution, and I will show how Designer can interact with projects after they've been moved to the server. CloverDX Server is a powerful platform for orchestrating, automating, and monitoring the execution of your CloverDX jobs. It uses the same runtime engine as CloverDX Designer and adds automation and management features necessary to operate a production environment. So far in these lessons, all of the work has been done on my desktop using CloverDX Designer. In this lesson, we'll connect our Designer to CloverDX Server and promote our project to run there. CloverDX Server includes a web interface that allows you to configure and manage the instance. Server can run in your data center or in the cloud. My server is running on a machine called CloverDX, port 8083. I'll use my browser to connect and log in to the server's administration console with a username and password that is already configured. The server web interface provides access to modules that allow me to configure and monitor the instance and automate and monitor the ETL jobs running in the instance. The controls are in a list of tabs along the left side of the display. The Monitoring tab provides an overview of the instance health and status, including uptime, available memory, a list of currently running jobs, and several charts that show recent resource utilization. The Execution History tab shows logs of all the jobs that have run on the server. I can see when a job ran, who ran it, how long it took, and what its ultimate status was. This is often the first place to look when investigating production issues with a job. The Scheduling, Data Services, and Event Listeners tabs provide ways to automate execution of jobs on CloverDX Server. I can set up jobs to run at a particular clock time, or when a file arrives at some location, or when some other application explicitly makes a request. The Sandboxes tab shows a list of projects that are deployed to this instance of server. And finally, the Configuration tab provides tools to change various settings of the server. In these lessons, we assume that your server has already been set up and configured, so we'll not cover this module. I want to promote my project to the server. There are several ways to do this. I could do it manually from the server console by creating a new sandbox and importing my files. For this lesson, though, I'm going to use CloverDX Designer to promote the project to server. In CloverDX Designer, I can right-click on my project and select Convert to Server Project. I can promote my project to any available CloverDX server. As we just saw, my server is running on a machine called CloverDX, port 8083. I know my username and password. I can use the Test Connection button to verify that the connection is valid. Then, I can choose whether to put my project in an existing server sandbox or create a new one. I'll create a new sandbox with the same name as my project. Pressing Finish will then create the project sandbox on the server, copy all my project files there, and reconnect Designer to the project in its new remote location. Designer's Navigator panel now shows that Online Training Project is a server project and is deployed to the server CloverDX port 8083. So Designer is now configured to operate on this remote project. Any changes made to the graphs will be immediately visible in the server sandbox. I can use Designer to run the graph as I did in previous lessons, only now, Designer will not run the graph itself. Instead, it will ask Server to run the graph. I'll click Run now. Designer reports the job ID 21 is complete. If I go to the server console, I can see first that my online training project is now listed in the Sandboxes tab. And if I visit the Executions History tab, I can see there is an entry for job 21. The Tracking tab shows record counts at each component. The Log File tab shows the complete log of execution. Of course, CloverDX Server provides a lot more than just a convenient place to view logs of jobs that I started manually in Designer. For example, I can configure CloverDX Server to automatically run my Lesson 4 graph on a specific schedule, and to send an email notification once the graph finishes. I'll open the Schedules tab. I can add a new schedule. I'll call this schedule Ingest Transactions. I'll set this up to be a timetable event running at the top of every hour from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Starting today. There are a number of actions CloverDX Server can take at the scheduled time. I can run a graph, stop the execution of a graph, send an email, or execute a script. I want to run a graph, so I select my sandbox from the list and then select the Lesson 4 graph. Once I create the schedule, I can see when the graph will run next. I can see the time and status of the last run here. I can quickly pause the schedule here. I also want to receive a status email after each scheduled run of the graph. Again, there are multiple ways of doing this. CloverDX Server supports a variety of event listeners that can be used to launch, monitor, or report on graph execution. I will open the Event Listeners tab and create a new Graph Listener. I'll provide a name for the listener and select the sandbox and graph. I want to listen for a graph finished event. Just like the scheduler, there are a number of actions CloverDX can take when the graph finishes. Here, I want to send an email. I can write the email body from scratch, or I can use the email template that comes with Server. Okay, it's nearing the top of the hour when my graph is scheduled to run. I'll see if I can catch it. There. I see a job appear in the running job list. It's completed. I can see there is an entry in the Executions History tab for the job. CloverDX Server also keeps a log of events. If I switch to the Task History tab, I can see that my graph listener event fired successfully to send the status email. And if I check, I see that I have indeed received an email with details of the execution of my graph. In many cases, when jobs start automatically, we might want to examine them in more detail. For example, to see how many records were processed, or have a more detailed look at any errors. We can use execution history, tracking, and log views for this. But there is a better way. Designer can connect and display the status of any previously executed job. To do this, we'll need the job's run ID, the unique identification number assigned to each job execution on the server. Here is a job that failed in the Basic Examples project. The run ID was 18. I'll return to Designer, and I'll connect to the Basic Examples project on my server. File, New CloverDX Server project. I'll connect to the existing Basic Examples project. In the Execution tab, I can click the Connect to Job button, select the Basic Examples project, and enter the graph's run ID. Designer will open the graph, fetch the execution logs from the server, and display the status visually in the graph. We'll be able to look at record counts, see which component caused the error, and easily browse the logs. One thing we cannot see is the debugging information on each edge. This is done for performance reasons, as collecting all debug information for every edge and every graph on every project deployed in server could slow execution of all production jobs. If you want to enable debugging data for jobs started by the server, you can do so in the Execution Properties item in the outline. This will turn on edge debugging for all future executions of the graph by server. So to recap Lesson 5, we promoted our project from Designer to CloverDX Server. We used the scheduling and event listening modules to automate the execution and reporting for a graph, and we learned how to view run status for any historic job from within Designer.